Okay, let's be real for a second. We've all felt that specific, addictive dopamine hit. You're lying on your couch, your brain feels like it's been through a blender, and you finally slide that little toggle on your phone. Do not disturb. Suddenly, the notifications vanish. The group chat you've been ignoring for 3 hours? Gone. The "hey, are we still on?" text from that friend you're too tired to see? Vaporized. It feels like a superpower, right? Like you're finally protecting your peace. But let me ask you something that's been bothering me lately. If we're finally setting all these boundaries we were told we needed, why does the silence feel so heavy? Why is 2026 the year where everyone is healing, but nobody actually has friends? See, we've been sold a lie by a $1 trillion self-care industry. They've rebranded avoiding people as spiritual growth. They've told us that our energy is a finite currency we have to hoard like dragons. We've become the main characters of our own lives, but we're performing in an empty theater because we've kicked out the rest of the cast for being too draining. It's the ultimate paradox. We've curated these perfectly peaceful lives, but they feel like high-end waiting rooms. We're sitting there, scrolling through live-in-the-moment quotes while making sure absolutely nothing interrupts us. But here's the cold, cynical truth I had to swallow this week. A life without interruptions isn't a life. It's a simulation. And that peace you're protecting? It might actually just be ontological boredom. We're building these invisible glass walls around ourselves, thinking they keep the bad vibes out. But they're actually keeping our souls in a vacuum where they're slowly suffocating. It's time to talk about why your D&D status is becoming a spiritual prison. So, how did we get here to understand the cage we've built? We have to look at a guy who lived through a world where boundaries didn't exist in the most terrifying way. Enter Emmanuel Levinas. He was a French philosopher who spent World War II in a prisoner of war camp. And while he was there, he realized something radical about what it means to be human. He noticed that the guards treated the prisoners like objects until they looked them in the eye. Levinas argued that responsibility isn't a burden your parents or your boss put on you. It literally means to answer a call. Think about it like a reflex. If someone throws a ball at your face, you blink. You don't choose to blink. It's a biological response to the world. Levinas says our entire existence is like that. We aren't just selves who then decide to talk to people. We become ourselves because we respond to others. He called this the face of the other. When you look at another person, their very presence is a command. It's saying, "Here I am, don't leave me." But here's where Zygmunt Bauman comes in with his idea of liquid modernity. He says that in 2026, we figured out how to turn these solid relationships into liquid connections. We prefer connections because you can switch them off. You can mute them, you can force close a person the moment they stop being fun or start requiring effort. It's a world where you never have to be stuck with anyone. You can skim the surface of 100 lives without ever diving into the depths of one. We treat people like apps on our home screen. But Levinas would say that by muting the other, you're actually muting the only signal that makes you real. The other is the mirror, and without the inconvenience of their needs, yourself just starts to evaporate into the digital noise. This is the part where I had to put the book down and just stare at a wall for an hour. Here's the glitch in the self-care matrix. You don't have a soul that you then take into the world to show people. Your soul is the spark that happens in the friction between you and someone else. Think about it. When are you most you? Is it when you're sitting alone in a perfectly curated room with your noise-canceling headphones on? Or is it when a friend tells a joke only you understand? Or when your partner is crying and you have to find words you didn't know you had to comfort them? Identity requires friction. But our modern world is obsessed with removing friction. We have AI companions that give us intimacy without the disruption of a real person's bad mood. We use therapy speak, that clinical, HR-style language, like "I don't have the capacity to hold space for this," to decline a coffee invite from a lonely neighbor. We're effectively using a deletion protocol on our own humanity. We're treating human interaction like a bug we need to patch out of our system. We want the benefits of community without the tax of involvement. We think we're being healthy, but we're actually erasing our own edges. Levinas has this concept called otherwise than being. It sounds heavy, but it's basically this. You exist most intensely when you are for someone else. The peace of being alone is actually a form of non-existence. It's like a guitar string that isn't attached to anything. It's peaceful, sure, but it can't make a sound. It needs the tension. It needs to be interrupted by the player's fingers. By killing the interruption, you're killing the music. You aren't lonely because you lack connection. We have plenty of that. You're lonely because you've eliminated the disruption of other people? You've curated a life where nobody can bother you, which means nobody can change you. And if nobody can change you, are you even alive? So if our comfortable tombs are killing us, how do we break out? We don't need a digital detox, we need a disruption protocol. We need to start inviting the inconvenience back in. I'm talking about radical 2026-style digital hygiene. First, there's the face-first rule. When someone speaks to you in the real world, a cashier, a co-worker, your roommate, look into their eyes for a full 3 seconds before you check your phone. You're essentially telling your brain that the person in front of you is more important than the infinite scrolling void in your pocket. Treat their face as a command, not a notification you can swipe away. Feel that tiny bit of social anxiety? That's the friction. That's you becoming real again. Second, try the weekly inconvenience. Once a week, say yes to one request that offers you 0 ROI, no networking, no self-improvement, no manifestation points. Maybe it's helping a neighbor move a couch or listening to your aunt's long story about her garden. This is the 0 ROI challenge. It's about proving to yourself that you aren't a business, you're a human. And third, no exit listening. Spend 10 minutes in a conversation where you are forbidden from mentioning yourself. Don't relate it back to your life. Don't say, oh, I had a similar thing happen. Just stay in their world. It's an act of radical responsibility. And if you think this sounds like it'll just make you more tired, look at the science. The Cleveland Clinic found that this kind of altruistic inconvenience triggers the help is high. It actually lowers your cortisol more effectively than isolated meditation. We don't recharge by withdrawing, we recharge by responding. It turns out our biological hardware is literally wired to serve others. We've just spent the last decade trying to hack the system, and all we got was a burnout epidemic. It's time to lean into the mess. Let's bring it all home. True peace isn't the absence of people, it's the presence of responsibility. It's the courage to let someone else's life matter more than your manifestation routine for 20 minutes. Your social battery doesn't drain because you're giving too much. It stagnates because you've stopped flowing. Think of it like water. If it stays in one place, protected from everything, it turns into a swamp. If it flows even over jagged rocks, it stays clear. A life that doesn't hurt. Start letting people disrupt you. Let them be inconvenient. Let them be messy. Because that spark, that little moment of friction when you choose to answer the call instead of sliding the do not disturb toggle, that is where your soul actually lives. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Tomorrow morning, when the world starts knocking on your door, are you going to protect your peace? Or are you finally going to be brave enough to lose it? Don't build a comfortable tomb. Build a life that's loud enough to be real. I'm telling you, the silence on the other side of that boundary isn't what you think it is. The face of the other is waiting. Answer the call. I'll see you out there in the noise.